So there's this man, he's driving down the road and his car breaks down in front of a monastery. So he walks up to the monastery and knocks on the door and says, hey, you know, my car broke down, it's late, can I spend the night here until I can get it fixed? And they say sure, they let him in, they fix him some dinner and get him a room and they put him up for the night. And he's there, he's trying to fall asleep, and all of a sudden he hears this strange sound. And it's a sound like he's never heard before. It's mesmerizing. It's both familiar and exotic. It's relaxing and exciting at the same time. It's old. It's new. It's like it's imprinted on his soul. The story of the sirens that seduced Odysseus and made him crash their ships on the shore come to mind. It's just this wonderful sound. And so he's not able to sleep. He's just mesmerized by this sound. And so the next morning he gets up and he asks the monks, he says, what was that wonderful sound? I have to know what it was. And they say, well, we're sorry, but we can't tell you because you're not a monk. And he's kind of upset at this, but he goes. The monks had even fixed his car overnight, so he goes. But years later, this sound still haunted him, and he went back to the monastery and he said, hey, I really need to know what the sound it was. It's been years later, I still can't get it out of my mind. And they said, well, we're sorry, we can't tell you because you're not a monk. And the guy says, well, if the only way that I can find out what's making that wonderful sound is to become a monk, then I'm ready to become a monk. And the monks go, okay, well, in order to become a monk, you must travel the world. You must tell us how many blades of grass there are on the earth and how many grains of sand. When you find those answers, come back and let us know. And so the guy sets about on the world, and he spends years and years traveling the world trying to find the answers to these questions. And so finally he returns. He's a gray-haired old man. And he knocks on the door, and the monk answers, and the guy says, you sent me out into the world to find out how many grains of sand there were and how many blades of grass. And after years, I've got my answer. And so they bring him before all the monks. They all gather and they bring him before the monks, and the guy says, well, here's the thing. The world is in a perpetual state of change, and only God can know the answers to the questions that you ask. All a man can know is himself, and then only if he's honest and reflective and willing to strip away all his self-deceptions. And the monks all kind of nod and they say, well, congratulations, you're a monk. And so the guy's really excited. He's like, well, I finally get to find out what makes that wonderful sound, right? And they go, yep. And so they lead him down into several levels below the monastery into a basement door. And at the bottom of the in the basement, there's a wooden door. And the monks say, what you seek, the source of that sound is beyond this door. And they give him a wooden key. And he puts the key in the door and opens it up. And behind that door, there's a stone door. And they give him a stone key. So he puts the stone key in the door and he opens that up and he goes up several stairs and there's another door. And this door is made of ruby. And they give him a ruby key. And he opens up the door, and again, this continues on. He keeps going, opening the door, and then there's several stairs, and then there's another door. And the next door is made of emerald, and there's an emerald key. And then pearl, and there's a pearl key. And then diamond, and there's a diamond key. And finally, he comes to a really ornate door. He's up several levels above the ground now, and it's a really ornate door made 100% totally made of gold. And they give him a golden key and they say, this is the final door. What you seek, the answer to your questions of what made this wonderful sound that's both relaxing and exciting and familiar and exotic and old and new and it's just imprinted on your soul is beyond this door. And they give him the gold key and he puts the key in the door and he turns the the key, and the door opens up, and he sees it. He falls to his knees, and there it is right before him is what? Well, I can't tell you because you're not a monk.